Hi everyone, it's Natalie here from Sanskrit Blue, and I decided to do a few of these at a time. I have been, but you're gonna get, they're kind of parsed out. They're kind of like a few from this time, then I skipped around and I'm coming back. So yeah, welcome to my channel if you're new. It's wonderful to be meeting all of these amazing new people here. I found a lot of new people to watch and engage with, and I've been trying to get over to your channels bit by bit, and even if I haven't commented, at least subscribe and watch some videos and hit the like button. So yeah, when there's more time available, I usually do get around and actually go over and comment on people's videos a lot more. Um, so yes, this is for day 10. Let me just pull up my list again really quick. Yeah. So this is share some of your tarot decks that have been long lost in your collection that you want to reconnect with. So for some of these, I have a plan, and for others, I do not. First and foremost, the ones where there is a plan. So one of the decks that I really had intended to work with a lot more closely at the beginning of last year, because I fell so in love with it. I'm sitting here shuffling it, is the, I don't know why I just hold it up now, there we go, is the Motherpeace. I fell in love with this deck right away when I got it last year, and yeah, this is the big version. I also have the mini, and I became so overcome by the Mariel Tarot last year that this one got lost in my collection for a very long time. So even though I worked really intensely with it when I first got it, it sort of went from there to kind of, I guess I got it in February probably, or March, and then worked with it a lot until, I don't know, for a little while. And then it really, yeah, it got put to one side while the Mariel kind of took over. So, yeah, which is unfortunate and, you know, totally reparable. And the more I'm reading about, you know, reading some of Vicky Noble's books, I can never get these to like be the direction they need to be in. But the more I'm reading Vicky Noble's book, you know, samples, which I've gotten, the more I'm like, wow, it's time. It's time to go ahead and pull this back out and really go in depth. She has such beautiful things to say about the divine feminine, and reclaiming it. And I find it fascinating that this came out in the early 80s, and yet everything, and a lot of the books that were written at around that time, and yet we're still facing the same issues. The same stuff is still relevant in 2020 as it was in 1982, 83, 84, 85. I find that really disturbing, and yet I feel completely drawn to pull, you know, this deck back out and work really quite deeply with it. It's such, oh God, that perspective of the devil. Just, oh, there's so much genius and brilliance in this deck. And a deck that I want to reconnect with as well, that's kind of gotten subsumed by other decks, that is not a tarot deck, is an oracle deck. And I had originally been gifted it by a friend who thought it would go beautifully, and it does in many ways, with the New Earth Tarot. And I attempted to work with it with the New Earth Tarot, and it just didn't gel. And I find that I wanted to pull this one out to work with the Motherpeace, and it is the crystal, oh heavens, what is it called again? I'm gonna have to go check and come back. Hang on. It is the Crystal Medicine Oracle. Yeah. And it is by Rochelle Sharman, or Rachel Sharman. I'm not sure how she pronounced. I would say that's Rochelle. That seems like Rochelle. Anyway, it's gorgeous, and I edged it in silver to match the backs. but it is, it feels right to go with Motherpeace to me. And I don't know why, but it just does. They feel like they want to be friends in a way I had not anticipated. Whoop, there we go. It's just gorgeous. There's so many like kind of Buddha type images in this deck, and there's so many like overlaps between this one and the New Earth Tarot that it's outrageous. But yeah, they're not, I don't know. They just like, look at this one. That just feels right, you know, with the Motherpeace. Yeah, I don't know. Their energy feels right. Another deck that is also not a, it is not a tarot deck, but it is a deck I've been wanting to work with for, well, since February or March of last year, that I never quite managed to settle into and work with, is the Shaman's Oracle by John Matthews and Will Kingan. These two are a really dynamic pair. I've actually since gotten a couple of decks, or been pulled to a couple of different decks that these two have done together in the time since. So they've done the Moon Oracle of the She together is one of them. But I'm falling in love with John Matthews' work, and I think that John Matthews and Will Kingan seem to really work well together. Yeah, I have a thing about cave art and cave paintings. It does something to me psychologically, and it changes my heart space. Like when I watch, if you haven't watched Cave of Forgotten Dreams, I've recommended it a few times before on my channel. It's time to revisit that film for me, I think. A couple times a year I need to watch it and just sit with the images and listen to the music that was composed for it, and hear Werner Herzog's amazing voice. I love his perspective, but at any rate, yeah, the wisdom inherent in this, it takes us to a completely different time and place and worldview, and it's one that my whole heart and soul cries out for in all truth, which is probably also why I avoid it. I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes it can be, if it means that it will shift you, or it will shift your life, or shift your perspective, and I'm confident that it will. It can be very hard to take that step. I think I needed more time and space last year to readapt from working purely in exoteric Buddhism, which is Buddhism rooted purely in like, here are the sutras, here's the texts, these are the things the Buddha said, here are the practices. Just do the practice. Don't read into it. Don't alter your reality. If your reality begins to alter, just come back to the present moment. Breathe. It's a great way to get through a spiritual awakening without losing your shit. I will say that. And to get through a lot of really profound initiations without losing your shit. In the long term, that is what a spiritual practice and a spiritual awakening does, right? Is it shifts your reality. But I had become so comfortable with going, nope, it's okay. Just come back to the present moment. Just know your true self. It's all good. That kind of, love and light. Everything's love and light, right? And the truth of the matter is that the deeper you go, it's not all love and light, and it is scary as hell, and your reality will be shifted. So in a year where my reality was shifting a lot already, because I changed career and all the other sorts of stuff, trying to let it shift a little, few degrees further was like, my whole practice, everything changed. Everything has changed. Not a bad thing, but a very freaky thing. Definitely very freaky. It's a lot. And I think the psyche kind of gives you limits and says, okay, that's enough for right now. If you have to stay grounded and earn a living and be sane through this, you might have to just kind of put the kibosh on some of the evolution. Yeah, because I've done it the other way and it was really hard, and I don't necessarily, I just barely survived it. Just barely survived it. So, I love that one. Almost a Sagittarius. That's like me. Okay, so that's that. Really cool deck. Kind of color-coded. I know that Kelly from Truth and Story she uses it until it gets all chipped up and nasty, and then she takes the borders off of it and so on, and it looks great without the borders. I've been thinking about trimming it just to trim it, but then it's like, no, because if I end up using it a lot, then we know what'll happen. The book is beautifully written. It's amazing. Well, it's John Matthews, so there we go. So that's another one. Back to tarot decks that I'm interested in reconnecting with. Another one, I'm looking at both of these and trying to decide which one should be first. Maybe since it's out of its box, we'll just start here. It is the Trionfi della Luna. And I keep trying to pull this one back out. I'm really interested in coming back to Tarot de Marseille for reading. Because in my video from yesterday, which I filmed just a few minutes ago, wouldn't you know? I was talking about, that like, what's here? What am I seeing? And then learning, relearning, like, yeah, no, I'm a theater, I've spent most of my career as a theater creator. So, reading like that is so theatrical. It's brilliant. And reading the feel of, how the cards flow from one to the next. If wands are warm and fiery and the blood is hot, that lightning is very hot. There's a lot of heat in that lightning card, right? The coins are very warm. They're tactile. They have a particular feel in the hand. There's a lot of them there. Things are blossoming. But that's a cold-blooded woman with swords and the blood and the birds eating it. There's a lot. So, finding the way to read those images from one to the next in this deck is so colorful and so beautiful that I thought, screw it. Do I really need to get another crap? And I just realized there's another deck that I want to. I'll bring it out in a minute. Anyway, yeah. So that Trionfi della Luna, I edged it in purple because why not? Is another one I really want to reconnect with. And while we're speaking of pip decks, let me pull this one out. It is a deck this is my first Il Meneghello deck that I ever got, and it was when I really had no idea. I had never heard of Il Meneghello ever. Because back in the late 90s, when I was learning tarot, I just wasn't aware. And then when I got into the early 2000s, I just wasn't into it. So this is La Corte de Tarrochi by Il Meneghello. And I love it so much. It's hard to have words for. I haven't seen it in a while. Look at that papessa. And that little owl is the same little owl that's there on the backs. Yeah, this is so beautiful. Let me pull a chunk without putting it out of order. I'm sure I put it back in order for a reason. I have used it. I have pulled it out and done little readings with it. It reads beautifully. Oh, well, I just got it out of order anyway. The little arabesques at the top of the cards really offer a lot of detail on some of these if you allow them. Look at that one. Yeah, there's just so much you can do with this deck, and I just have not given it the love and the time it needs. But I will. It will have the love and the time it needs. It's so gorgeous. It's like a bunch of bookmarks, really, because they're so skinny and tall, you know. But it's such a beautiful deck, and it has such a great feel and smell, and the cardstock, and you know, what can you do? Yeah. So that's this. This is my first Il Meneghello deck, and I love it so much, and I really do want to reconnect. And then, last but not least, hang on one sec. We have the Tarot de Maria Celia. Ha, ha, ha. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why. It has no point. This is the most glorious Marseille-style deck. I edged it. And it's, the colors. Look at the Le Pendu. Le Pendu. He's so cute. You know, when I have read with this deck, it is so freaking happy to talk at me. It talks so much. It has so much to share and so much to say. It is so, like, vibrant and chirpy and chatty. I don't know. It communicates. Look at the body language in that chariot. The charioteer. Wow. So, yeah, it tells me, it talks. It really talks. So I am hoping to reconnect with it. Like I said, I keep attempting to come back to TDM to work with it. I mean, look at that Emperor. It's just so expressive. And it keeps so many interesting traits from a traditional, you know, some of the earlier TDMs, and yet borrows from others and then goes its own direction. In the most wonderful ways. I mean, and then too, if you get a card like this upside down, it feels different because of the way that it's been drawn. Yeah, it's just so, it's so expressive. Yeah. Ooh. Oh, the wands. The Five of Wands. It had a conflict with me just now. But see, look at that. It has such a different meaning. It does to me anyway. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I mean, the detail is what stands out to me. Yeah, they're so expressive. Sweet little thing. So yes, this is a really, look at this Two of Swords. And then again, when you flip it, it's very different because the way those leaves are in the middle. I don't know. Anyway, maybe that's me. Do you guys read that way too? I don't know. But yeah, so there we go. Those are some neglected decks that I'm hoping to sort of trawl back out with my net and look at again in 2020. Okay, that's it for today. Stay tuned, because I'm sure I've got another video in the works for another day in the series, and it is going to be raining outside very heavily in a moment. Okay, so take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.